Hi, this video will show you how to transfer your work files to your home drive using a PC Windows computer. Your home drive is a special folder on the OPS server for every employee. It's also considered your home network or your H drive. For the rest of this video, I will refer to it as your H drive. The first thing that you want to do before you get started is to start looking at your files and folders and where you save things currently on your Windows computer. I have several folders out on my desktop, and I have some files also outside of folders. One thing that I would suggest is try to create folders for everything and slide any of your documents into the folders. Another thing to think about is the server only has so much space for each person. They're asking you to not include any of your videos, any of your pictures, or any of your personal items. They also want you to take the time to make sure that you pull out any documents that you no longer need. Once you have the folders ready for what you want to include in the H drive, you'll need to locate the H drive on your computer. An easy way to locate this is to go down into your Start button. I'm on a Windows 7 computer, but it will be similar for a Windows XP computer. When you click on your Start button, you'll look for Computer or My Computer. I'm going to open up the computer, and inside I see my H drive. If I hover my mouse over it, I can see my e-login name, and then at the end I can see the H drive. That's how it indicates that that's the H drive. What I want to do is I want to move the folders into the H drive. I'm going to double click on the H drive. I'm going to take one of the folders that I want and I'm going to drag it in and release it on the H drive. It copies everything from that folder onto the H drive. If I want to take another one, I can move it. If for any reason I had a large group of folders that I wanted to move, I could draw a rectangle around them and then drag it over, and it would move several at one time. I need my budget info to go in, and now I have all of the folders that I need to add to the H drive. I'm going to close the H drive. One suggestion I have for you is so that you don't accidentally start using these files in here again, that you take those files that you moved to the H drive and you take that folder up to the recycle bin, right click and empty the recycle bin, and then tell it yes, take that off of your computer completely. Don't worry, it's still saved to the H drive. To locate that H drive, every time that you want it, you might have to go down to the Start button, but I'm going to teach you a way so that you can create a shortcut on your desktop. This will make it so much easier to use that file. I'll click the Start button again, go to Computer, and I'll open up my H drive. With this window open on the H drive, I'm going to look for a little tiny icon up in the file name. If I put my mouse on that icon and I drag it out to the desktop and release it, it's going to put a shortcut right back to the H drive. Now I can close this H drive, and anytime I want to open up my folders, I can open up the H drive from here. There's a couple things I can do with that shortcut. I can move it somewhere that's a little bit out of the way or easier to find. I could also take it and right click, and it gives me choices to rename it, or I could even delete it if I don't want it on there or if I accidentally put two of them on there. Don't worry, you won't delete it off of your computer completely. It will still be inside this Start button anytime you want it. Now there might be one more place that you have some files hiding that maybe you don't realize. Inside my Start button, I'm going to go look inside my documents. Some users like to save their files in the documents. Inside my documents, there happens to be program files that I do not want to transfer over to the H drive. There's some folders that I have that I want to transfer over. But before I transfer them over, I also want to see if I can figure out a way to organize these files that are not inside a folder. One thing that I see is that I can take my lunch schedule and I'm going to click and drag it until it's on the schedules folder, and when I release it, it goes inside there. I have my two tutorials, and I think they would be a good option to put in a folder. So in any of the white space inside my documents, I'm going to right click, choose New, and then select Folder. It allows me to rename this, so I'm going to call it Tutorials, and then press Enter. Now I have a folder that I can put these two files in. I could click and drag each one individually, or I could click one, hold my control key down, click another, and it would select both. So when I drag it up to tutorials and let go, they both go inside that tutorials folder. Now I want my folders to go into my H drive. I do not want my Snagit folder to go in because that's actually a program folder. That's how I launch my Snagit program. I also don't want this Bluetooth Exchange folder. I only want the folders that I created, not the ones that just came on my computer naturally. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my H drive. It opens up a second window. I'll drag that window over by selecting the top part of the window, and then I'll drag my Documents window over. I need to pick which folders I want to move over into my H drive. I want my Kellum folder. I'm going to hold my control key down and select my meeting notes, my schedules. I do not want the Snagit, so with my control key still held down, I'll select tutorials. Now that all of them are blue, I can put my mouse on one of them and drag it into that H drive and release. Now for this video, I do not have very much inside those folders. However, you might find that you have a lot of data to transfer over. Something that I would suggest is to try and do this transfer when it's towards the end of the day when schools are not in session, especially if you're a user out in a school. This is going to eat up quite a bit of bandwidth as you do the transfer. I actually had a principal do a transfer and it took 8 hours to transfer all of his files. You definitely do not want to do this during a testing window, especially if you're out in a school, because that's eating up some of your bandwidth. Again, a good time to do this would be a time when you're not going to take your computer home. You keep it open, you start the transfer before you leave, you let the computer stay open and let it run through the night. That's just a little tip on when you do that transferring. Now let's talk about how you would use your files from now on. Inside my documents, I've transferred all of this to the H drive already. So with them still highlighted, I can now take them out of my documents and put them in the recycle bin. I can right click on the recycle bin and empty it and say yes. Don't worry if they're not in your documents anymore, they're still on your H drive. So let's say that now you're going to work with the document. How would you find that document? I could go down into the Start and then Computer, but I made that shortcut right here, so that's much easier for me. I'll double click on my shortcut, and there are all of the folders that I wanted to work with, and now they're safe on the H drive. If my computer were supposed to maybe crash, I wouldn't have to worry because all of my documents would still be on the H drive. If maybe I was wanting to work on a different computer, I could log in as myself, go to the H drive, and I would see all of the files that I had on this computer. If I was at home, it's going to be slightly different. If I was at home, I could access this through the OPS Web Desktop portal. If you're interested in learning how to access your work files from home on your home computer, or if you take your laptop home from work, you'll have to watch some training videos. You can locate those on our Tech Hub website. With the files or the folders open that I want to work with, I'm going to open up one of my folders, open up one of my documents that I already have created, and I'm going to start to work on this document. When I'm done working on the document, I'll press Save, I'll close it, and the changes are inside my H drive. If I'm going to create a new document, I need to save it to the H drive. So I'll start a brand new document. I'll save it. And the first thing I have to do is decide where I'm going to save it. There's a couple options for how you save this or locate your H drive. On the left side, I can scroll down and see the word computer. And when I click on that word computer, I can see my H drive right here. And then I'll decide which folder I want to put this in. I also have the option up at the top to make a new folder on my H drive. I'll double click my schedules. I'll save it with the file name meeting schedule and then close it. And now anytime I want to access that, I can go to my H drive and I can find the files that I was working with. Some very important steps once you're done transferring is to remember that you only will use the H drive from now on. If you keep the folders that you transferred onto the H drive out here on your desktop, or you accidentally keep saving things to your documents, you're really going to get confused, and it will be hard for you to remember which file is the most up to date. You will always want to use your H drive from now on to open files and to save files. This way you always guarantee that the file that you need is backed up to the H drive. It also gives you the advantage of when you move between computers, as long as you can get to your H drive and you're logged in as yourself, you can get to all of your files. And then it's also an advantage that if you go to your computer at home, you can access any of these files using the OPS Web Desktop Portal. This is the end of the training for how to transfer your files on your work computer to the H drive or your home folder on a PC Windows computer. If you would like to learn how you can access these files from home using the OPS Web Desktop Portal, please visit www.ops.org/TechHub. Have a great day.